On the move, got the flow so smooth. Spitting rhymes on the podcast, got nothing to prove. He's the host with the most, dropping knowledge every week. From the underground to the mainstream, making the street speak. Step on the stage, Mo grabs the microphone, holding it down, he's in the league of his own. Interviews with the legends, the up-and-coming stars. No topic off limits, pushing the bars. Merle on the move, taking over the game. Keeping it real, never fake, never the same. Hip-hop podcast, bringing the heat. With Merle on the mic, grooving to the beat.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Merle on the Move show. Yes, 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 yes. You know what it is. Welcome to the program. I am Merle on the Move. I think everything's working good tonight. The board's working good. Everything's going good, and I'm rocking, baby. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into it a little bit. So, get that camera rocking. Hey, let's get into the program. So today we're going to go over a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff's been happening since the last time I've been talking to you guys. And Cassie videoed and trial and Diddy and Tory Lanez and Make the Stallion and all kind of stuff. So we're going to get to it. I'm also going with some things that was like really deep in the news and in the headlines and kind of drifted away. Yeah. We're going to go over NBA. We're going to go over what's going on with 47, what's going on in politics, you know, what we normally do. I welcome you guys from tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Being back here on the air is something that I enjoy doing on anytime I get a chance, you know what I mean? So anyway, I got some fuzzies from my ceiling. Y'all don't know, I should have told the camera so you can see I got a drop ceiling in everybody. Some fuzzies floating around in here. So let's get into it. First thing, we're going to go over some NBA. We'll go over the NBA real quick. So, boom, 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 boom. Get that going real quick. NBA, the Lakers, I already told y'all about that. So I'm going to go over this really fast, because I'm not going to go deep into the playoffs. But I already told y'all who I said I'm rocking with. I'm rocking with the Knickerbockers. Shout out to those Knicks. The Knicks beat the Celtics. That's what I wanted. I wanted the Celtics to go down, baby. I wanted them to, yeah. I wanted the Celtics to go down because I'm a Laker. I'm a Laker for life. Shout out to that documentary, though. I learned a lot of stuff watching that Celtics documentary. I almost didn't watch it. I almost wasn't going to watch that Celtics documentary because I'm a Laker. And I don't want to support the Celtics. But I did. I watched the Celtics documentary. It was really informational. It was very interesting. A lot of shout out to Bill Russell. Found out Bill Russell could have played for the St. Louis Hawks. They had the number 1 pick, and they could have picked him, but they didn't want a black player. So the Celtics picked him, Red Auerbach. I had a different opinion about Red Auerbach until I watched this. I'm not finished with it either. I got a couple more episodes. Checked out the series, you know what I mean? But anyway, let's get back to the sports. So the Knicks beat them. They moving on. Jalen Brunson has a very unique story. His father, Rick Brunson, I think that's his name, played for the Knicks with Latrell Sprewell and all them last time, and Larry Johnson, and last time they made it to the Eastern Conference Championship. The Knicks have not won NBA Finals since 1973. You hear me? That's the year I was born. The Knicks have not won a championship since 1973. Yeah, I'm checking just to make sure. I know that to be a fact. So they haven't been to an Eastern Conference Championship round since 25 years. It's been 25 years since they've been there. So shout out to them Knicks. But anyway, so the story, the cool story I got to say about that is Jalen Brunson, his dad, is a coach with the Knicks. And his son is a star. Jalen Brunson is a dog. Woo! He was putting it on them Knicks. He was putting it on them Celtics. Them Celtics went down. And, it was sad. I probably shouldn't play that horn right there. But, my man Jason Tatum, shout out to him. He got hurt. But they was gonna lose anyway. It was good back and forth between Tatum and Brunson, but the cool story: Jalen Brunson making it to the finals. His dad made it to the finals. Jalen Brunson got a chance to try to get him to the NBA finals, but he made it to East Conference finals. So still waiting on this last game tomorrow. The Nuggets is playing OKC. OKC should win that game, and it should be OKC against Minnesota. And I think I'm gonna switch it up and go Minnesota. I said OKC. I said it's gonna be OKC in the Knicks. I'm still thinking it's going to be OKC and the Knicks in the championship, but I'm rooting for Minnesota and the Knicks in the championship. I like to see that. The New York Knicks and the Minnesota Timberwolves in a championship would be a very good finals, I think. OKC, they got a good fan base in OKC, but outside of OKC, the fan base ain't strong for them. Not a strong fan base. Minnesota don't have a great fan base when it comes to basketball either, but the Midwest would support them, I think, a little bit more than OKC. So, and plus Ant-Man, you know what I mean, trying to, he's a star, but my man, the other dude for OKC is a star too. Anyway, I think he might win MVP or I think voting might be over. I don't know. But they still got to get by Denver. And the Joker's no joke. Pun intended. Pun intended, baby. So let's go ahead and move on. Basketball, like I said, Jason Tatum got hurt. I do want to put out this. If somebody, if the movers, all my movers out here, listen to the show, if you want to chime in on this, I do believe that Jason Tatum, the injury that he suffered, and not only him, a few other players this season and the past season have suffered major injuries. I think it's due to too much time being played, too many minutes. I believe that these teams are having these players play too many minutes every night, and it's wearing on their body. So I don't know, you guys want to chime in on that, how you feel about that, but let's move on to the WNBA. The WNBA started today. First game was today, and they are really, I don't know if this by design or this is media, okay? But Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese was the second game. The first game was the Las Vegas Aces and New York, the Liberty. The Liberty won that game. But yeah, that was the first game. And shout out Asia Wilson, the MVP, dope player. Shout out to her, like her game. She got a dope commercial out too. Her commercial, Asia Wilson's Nike commercial is really dope. Her shoes is dope too. Her commercial is really, really dope.
Asia Wilson's on top, can't take her spot.
So shout out to, I'm glad to see. It seems like when it comes to diversity, inclusion, and equity, the companies, the corporation, I'm gonna talk about that a little bit later in the show. The companies, the corporations got to give it to the black people because ain't no reparations. We're gonna talk about that later. I watched this interview. I might play this clip about your guy that's the secretary of he's Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, whatever his job is with the government. When he was running for president, he said some stuff. Anyway, I might play it. Anyway, so but they try to make a point out of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. That was the second game. They had a little, it wasn't even nothing. Even Caitlin said it wasn't nothing. But they got double technicals, and they're making a big deal out of it. I don't know if the media is trying to hype it more, or is by design to bring more attention. They're trying to make it seem like they have a problem with each other. They don't have a problem with each other. They play ball. So that happened in sports. That's sports. That's y'all sports. Baseball going on. The draft. The Dallas Mavericks got the #1 pick. They're gonna get the kid from Duke, Cooper Flag. They're saying this is a scam because they lost my man Luka, and now they get the #1 pick. And it's Cooper Flag and Big White Boy. Sound effects in effect. Yeah, they was sound effect. My boy was off last week. I don't know. I'd be messing around with stuff so much. So anyway, I was trying to program and do other things. So anyway, also, I know this has nothing. I'm trying to stick. I'm gonna stick to this entertainment. I was talking about basketball and stuff like that. Let's go. Let's talk about a little entertainment. So, let's talk about Tory Lanez. We're going to Tory Lanez, okay? So Tory Lanez was attacked in prison. 14, he was stabbed 14 times, and he was transported to a hospital outside the prison. Tory Lanez, if you don't know, Tory Lanez is doing 10 years in a prison in California for shooting Meg Thee Stallion. And since this stabbing has happened, he survived. He was in critical condition for a while, but he survived. He's talking, and his father gave a statement, press conference, and stuff like that. But since this has happened, it's more evidence coming out about his case. And naturally, his lawyers would want to try to get him out of jail, get Tory Lanez out of jail. You know what I mean? Because this could happen. And it's a lot of back and forth stories. People on YouTube, shout out Rick Rock TV, Compton Rick Rock TV. He did some stories on it. You know what I mean? So my man, Urban Politicians, he did some stories on it. But what I'm seeing, TMZ and stuff like that, it's not I don't know if it's a hit. That's what, it's a hit. I don't know if it's racial. Some people are saying the guy was a little off. He was loco. Some people were saying that Tory had disrespected his woman. It's a lot of stories. So I don't know where to go with that. But the most interesting thing that I want to talk about, besides the gossip part of it, which I don't really like, is the driver of the girl that was in the car with Meg Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez is saying that he heard her tell her husband or somebody else that she shot Megan. I think the girl's name is Kelsey. And this guy was a bodyguard for her. And at the time, I guess because he worked for her, he felt obligated to her, not to Tory. So he didn't say anything about this at the time. And now, since this didn't happen to Tory, he's on his conscience like, dang, this man didn't shoot Meg. Kelsey did. I didn't sign an NDA saying I couldn't say nothing. So I think I feel obligated. I should say something. Now, you can take that with a grain of salt. I don't know if the lawyer's going to take this any further, but I'm sure they're going to try to push that narrative. And Tory Lanez may have this case relooked at again and possibly could come home. A lot of people, Chris Brown, one of the people that went on social media and posted, boom, free Tory Lanez. A lot of other people saying Tory Lanez didn't do it. A lot of people's on the fence saying that anyway. I haven't heard what Meg Thee Stallion's camp has said anything about it. Remember last thing I heard that Meg Thee Stallion was her camp was trying to sue Tory and put a gag order so he couldn't talk. Try to sue him for talking about her. Last thing I heard about her camp. So yeah, I don't know where this is going to go. Very interesting. We just want the truth. I shouldn't say we want the truth. We don't deserve the truth. He and the people and the victims and the families affected deserve the truth. We just spectators. And we always say, we just want the truth. You heard the Breakfast Club, even saying, well, we just want the truth. Do you? It ain't your business. It don't affect you one way or another. Really. But anyway, that being said, I am going to speak on the Diddy case very, very lightly because it's a lot going on. I think it's an 8-week trial. It's a lot going on. I'll get to it when I get to the, deeper into the case. Pause. But a lot of stuff that came out. A lot of stuff about Cassie. She's pregnant. Rewind. So P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, bad boy owner, on trial for sex trafficking and kidnapping. Okay? I think it's a RICO at that. He's not on trial for battery or domestic violence. That's what he's on trial for. Not what he's locked up for. So they're trying to prove a case that he's kidnapping and sex trafficking these people. And during the case, he was hiring a lot of male escorts. And that's what's like, and see, that's why everybody's making jokes about the Diddy parties and the baby oil and all that. And yeah, and Cassie's on stand and she talks about first it was the not a bodyguard, but the escort, the male escort testified first. And he kind of like stirred the case in a different direction, saying that it was more Cassie directing things with him, not Diddy. Diddy was there partaking, but wasn't physically touching or doing anything like that. Some extra stuff was going on. I ain't gonna get into none of that weird stuff. But yeah. Then she come out, she's pregnant, she's married now, because, found out also that Diddy paid her $20 million. She asked for $30 million to be quiet about this. This is back in 2016 or something like that. 2017, 2018, something like that. Paid her. She wanted $30 million. He gave her $20 million. Did not talk about it. Went his own way. Remember, he was dating Carisha, right? Young Miami. Cassie doing her own thing, but they still had these videos. He had these tapes, and he could blackmail her. But during the whole relationship they was having, it was back and forth, back and forth. I don't understand how you can charge him from kidnapping her and holding her against his will when every time they had a problem physically or mentally, she came back willingly. Like, she willingly would come back, hang out with him, date him, have sex, and then they get into it, and then, he come get her, and then she leave, and then she come back. But, like, it was a lot of back and forth. That sounded like a relationship. Sound like a what they call a trauma relationship, traumatic relationship, to the detriment of each other. But sound like they were both willingly participants in that traumatic relationship. The video of him beating her up is kind of, I gotta stop saying kind of, is the worst part. It's where it blows everything out the water. If it wasn't for that video, people would be like, they just had a bad relationship. But because of the video, you see him kicking her and stomping her, like in 4K. It's like, dang, dude, like, you was a monster to her. So it's gonna be hard for his lawyers to get around that. It's a lot of sexual stuff going on. His family is in there. I'm glad I ain't got nothing to do with that. That case is, wow. I don't know what's gonna go. He might, it depends on what if the lawyers are trying to get him on kidnapping and sex trafficking, I guess that's gonna be hard. But I guess to the letter of the law, if you're paying somebody to come across state lines to engage in a sexual activity, I guess that's sex trafficking. And if they go to the letter of the law, they're guilty on that, right? I don't know. Anyway, so that happened. That's that case. That happened with the Diddy thing. I don't know. Speaking of celebrities, and I also wanted to say during basketball, this next season starting in October, the NBC is going to have the NBC, and I think Amazon are going to be having an NBA contract, showing games, and Michael Jordan is going to be a special contributor to the show. So he's going to be on. I guess it's probably going to be like a Peyton Manning. You know how Peyton Manning and Eli does like the ESPN commentating thing. I think Michael Jordan might be doing something similar. Not quite exactly like that, but something similar, breaking down the game, having somebody else in him talk about the state of the game or how things. Because Jordan was not just a great player; he's also executive, and he owned the team. So he can look at things from a whole different perspective. And I'm all ears, especially see how it goes in the beginning. He's older. He sold the team, so he can really get out and do some things. So I'm interested to see how Michael Jordan does with NBC. I'm loving that NBC is getting the contract back for basketball. I mean, because I grew up on dun 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 dun. That was the song, to music. That was the music. That was the music, though. Anyway, I just hit that kind of hard. So, yeah, the Diddy trial. Snoop Dogg got a new album. It's dope. I think it's called Is It a Crime? He's been making the rounds on the Breakfast Club. He's into it with Suge Knight again, though. I watched it. It's like a movie. He got a movie on YouTube. It's like, I think it's an hour and something long. And, yeah, he like going in on Suge, though. Like, for real going in on Suge. And but it's dope music. And he had that one with Dr. Dre, and he didn't feel like it did the numbers or did what it should have did. Like a lot of people slept on it. I listened to it. Shout out to Snoop though, but I didn't listen to all of it. And this project sounded pretty good. Some songs on there I wasn't vibing to, but most of it, I'd say 75% of this new thing he got out I liked. You know what I mean? I'm gonna play some more. I'm gonna listen to some more. Shout out, you know what I mean? Yeah, so shout out Snoop Dogg. Before I get into the political portion of it, Chris Brown, singer, R&B, great dancer. Chris Brown was arrested. He went over to, I think, Manchester. He was doing some like 10-city tour or something over there. And I guess he got into an altercation with a producer back in 2023, and some bottles was thrown, and they're accusing him of hitting the producer over the head with a bottle, and they arrested him. So he came back over there, and but the crazy part of it is that the people that found out that he was there, he wasn't in the town that this happened in, but a newspaper company over there found out that Chris Brown was there, and they called the police department in that area and asked them, "Hey, are you guys still going to arrest Chris Brown for that assault?" And they're like, "Oh, Chris Brown is here," or whatever. I don't know how it went that way, but something like that. It's like, "Oh, okay." So they go over there to the hotel to see if he there. Boom, he there. They arrest him. So yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen with that. So Chris Brown. So yeah, I'm all over the place. Antonio Brown. I'm gonna play this clip too, because this Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown, wide receiver, ex-rider. I gotta say ex because he's not in the league any longer. He's been all over. He did this video supporting 47 that was real, but it went viral. Him and some other guy, I think Le'Veon Bell. That's what it was. It was Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell had put this video on social media supporting 47. It was crazy. Antonio Brown walked off I think his last game playing with the Buccaneers with Tom Brady. He walked off the field in like third quarter, something like took his shoulder pads off in his jersey and walked all the way across the field, down the tunnel, made a spectacle. Remember he got in trouble with the Steelers texting or something, or going on FaceTime, going live after the game or doing halftime in the locker room. I think that's what it was. And the coaches, like, that was a rule you wasn't supposed to be doing. He was doing it. He got fined for that or something. Like, he's always been about the antics. You know what I mean? He took that title, which I don't like, but that they talked about wide receivers, was it prima donnas? He took that title to higher level. Antonio Brown. I believe Antonio Brown's father ain't that Sugar Bear, Huggy Bear from Starsky and Hutch? Ain't that his dad in real life? I think it is. Y'all can check me on that too, but I think it's Antonio Fargas. Ain't that Antonio Brown's daddy? I think so. I think I remember hearing that something. Anyway, he is in Florida streaming, doing some live stream with Aiden Ross, who's another YouTuber, streamer, something. And he's got a big following, and it's going on a fight or something like that, some kind of fight going on. They're live streaming it. And Antonio Brown was a guest. And I guess during this, getting there, a group of people tried to rob him, tried to fight him, tried to rob him, pulled up on him, and he had to defend himself. And you can see it in the video.
Hey, don't let no one else in the gate. Hey.
You got shot?
Yeah, fighting. And then he runs and gets a gun, or has a gun. Maybe had it on him or something. I think, because you can see him in the crowd running by. And you can tell, I didn't know it was him at first, but you can tell that dude running like he got a gun on him. And then you hear pow, 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 right? Some screaming, yelling. And then he gets arrested. You see him in handcuffs. And then about an hour later or something like that, he's free with his shirt off, with his shade on still, back in the stream, at the live stream. And then Russ like, that's my boy AB. You can't stop AB. You can't hold him down. I don't know what's up with that. I think it was in Florida, though. Yeah, I think it was in Florida, though. So, yeah. Yeah. It's Merle on the Move. You know what it is. MOTM, MerleOnTheMove.com. Don't ever forget, it's Merle on the Move all the time. Merle on the Move, baby. So, yeah, let's, what else? Oh, before I go, I do want to talk about this. This was wild. I did see this, hitting y'all with the hot topics tonight, baby. Hitting you with the hot topics. I do want to talk about the 10 inmates down in New Orleans. Y'all see that, huh? The 10 inmates Y'all got it's video. That's what's so crazy. Video is wow. You see, hear stories like this, right? Now you can hear it and see it. Here it go.
A massive manhunt is underway in Louisiana after 10 inmates broke out of a jail in New Orleans.
At least one has been captured, but 9 others are still on the run.
Law enforcement officials there say the inmates likely had help. Fox's Connor Hansen has the latest.
A massive jailbreak caught on camera. 10 men can be seen running for the fence, carrying carpet to cover the barbed wire, and after crossing a freeway into a neighborhood. Around 1 a.m., footage shows inmates ripping open a cell door. Officials say broken locks have been a persistent problem.
This civilian was assigned to the pod module to observe the pod. When she stepped away to grab food, that is when they began their attempts to escape.
Guards woke up to find a hole broken through a wall behind a toilet. Written above it, "Too easy, LOL." Photos show clean cuts to the rebar and bolts removed from the backside of that wall. The sheriff says some jail staffers might have helped. At least 3 have been suspended.
We know that they had help. We're showing you they had help. This was coordinated. There's much more than meets the eye.
The group of escapees includes convicted and accused murderers. One was captured after a foot chase in the French Quarter. Guards didn't notice the inmates were missing until around 8:30 local time Friday morning. Now questions are mounting about a delay notifying the public and even some law enforcement agencies about the breach.
10 inmates escaped that jail running out, and they planned that. There wasn't no over the night, like, it was a female guard, too, that was on duty. I don't know if y'all heard that. Female guard on duty. They said if somebody was inside helping these guys, they come up out of there. If they didn't caught almost all of them, like 7 of them, something like that. I don't know how far you gonna go. I don't know how much time all these dudes had either. But yeah, that was definitely an inside job. They moved the pipes and stuff like that. You had to turn stuff off. You had to have tools on the other side. They wrote notes on the top like this was too easy. So yeah, I don't know, but that was wild. Some of them dudes had some wild charges too. So I also watched. I seen. I'm a shoe guy. Big shoe releases coming up this week. Couple of them now, and I'm on it. All right, I'm on it. It's a big drop. It was dropped today. The Carmelo 12s came out. The PE Player Edition, Melo 12. I think North Carolina colors. They came out. I ain't cop them. I ain't want them. I got the North Carolina ones. Oh geez, they got them though. But big drop next week. The Cement 4s, baby. The OG Cement 4s, baby. Coming out next Saturday, dropping. Check it out on the Sneakers app or wherever you get your shoes at. But I'm on them. And then that Tuesday, the Phone Posse's, the Psychedelic Blues come out, and I'm on that one too, baby. But yeah, it's Foot Locker. Foot Locker was I was wondering, like, I live in Iowa, and I'm like, Foot Locker, what? Foot Locker ain't open. Dick's Sporting Goods. Pause. They bought Foot Locker. So Foot Locker is under new management. It's owned by Dick's Sporting Goods. I think they closed some stores. Maybe going to relaunch them differently because they're going to keep the name and the brand Foot Locker. Dick's Sporting Goods is, but they're going to redo how they do it. Dick's Sporting Goods is a big chain doing really good. They're going to keep the lady that's the CEO of Foot Locker right now. If you want to check that out, I might play that clip.
Breaking news earlier this hour, Dick's Sporting Goods is buying Foot Locker for $24 a share. Courtney Reagan is here with all of the rather juicy details, Courtney.
Yeah, obviously. So this one was rumored sort of late last night, and we obviously can confirm now that this is true. And I spoke with Dick's Sporting Goods executive chairman Ed Stack. He's also the son of the founder of the company, about the retailer's deal to buy Foot Locker. Ed Stack told me, look, it gives us a much deeper relationship with the key brands that we do business with: Nike, Adidas, On Running, all of them. And that footwear is the engine that pulls the train for Dick's Sporting Goods.
But, you know, keep that in mind. Shoe game, shoes. If you're in the shoes, some of these stores are folded. So Foot Locker, hey, little story about me. I worked at Foot Locker, one of my first jobs ever. I was 15. Yeah, people back home know Raven got me that job. So big shoe guy, excuse me, been a big shoe guy forever. So Foot Locker under new management, still called Foot Locker though. A lot of stores shutting down. So let's go ahead and switch some gears. 13 speed over here, baby. Switch some gears. We're going to talk about what's going on in social, right? Social words up. I watched Meet the Press last Sunday. And then I watched this other interview maybe a couple days ago with Bernie Sanders. And the interview, I think it might have been on Joe Rogan or something like that. But Bernie's been always called a socialist. And what's going on now, because I'm going to talk about this South African immigrant thing too towards the end. But let's just talk about the economy because everybody's feeling that, right? And he's been called a socialist, radical. But government, its responsibility, it's duly responsible, especially since we the people pay the government. See, that's what's, it's like, if you pay for something, don't you expect some services? If you're paying for it, any person, if you're paying for something, you expect some services. And we tend to think that the government, we work for the government, we be holding to the government, that we owe the government, we have to do right by the government, or we're in trouble. That's brainwashing. They didn't brainwash it to the fact that normal citizens that have the power, because we elect these people, and we elect them, and we think that they're going to do what we ask them to do, and then they don't. And then we just elect somebody else and hope that they do what we ask them to do, and then they don't, because they're part of the machine. Once they get there, it's all about lobbying and getting the best deal for them and the people that's paying them, not for the people that sent them there. And so we keep hoping and hoping and hoping. Every once in a while, you get a good person in there, some things get moved on, some progress, because the wheels got to go down the road, you know what I mean? But it can get stopped along the way. And in a lot of cases, minorities and other ethnic groups and women are the ones that get hit first. So Social Security, Medicaid, and all that stuff. Let's just talk about 1968 or 1965 when Medicare came out. Medicare is insurance. And Medicare, when it was established, it was Bernie Sanders, I think 1965 or 68. Might have been 68. 19 million people signed up for this Medicaid program. And that was going to go to the elderly first, because that's be affected by it first, right? And so the age group was like 65 and up. 65 and up, you could qualify for this Medicaid for insurance. You get sick, you don't go in debt and lose your home. Government helps you out. And this program, when it came in place, it was supposed to enroll more and grow, and with the growth, with the money coming in from the taxpayers, they were going to lower the age group from 65 to 55. And then after time, lower from 55 to 45 to add people to the program to the point to where you had free health care. And this is in the 60s. This was the plan in the 60s, the late 60s, early 70s. This was the plan for Medicaid. Okay? We're talking about just the health care part. It was going to start with the elderly, and they was going to roll it out, phase it in at a certain amount of years, lower the age requirement down, all the way down to like 35 to 25 years of age. So just imagine right now, if you didn't have to pay health care out of your check every week, that a lot of people don't even use, okay? So you paying $40 a week. Let's just say you single. You ain't got a family. It ain't a family plan. Say you single, you paying $40 a week for your medical, dental, and vision. So that's 40, 80, that's $120. Oh, $160, I'm tripping. That's $160 a month times 12, right? So that's how much you can save some money right there yearly. Times 20 years. See what I'm saying? Now you're going to use that. Hopefully you don't have to. And if you got kids, you got a family, yeah, you might use that, braces, dental, stuff like that. But what if the government and Medicaid took care of that for you? That's money in your pocket you can do for other things to help enrich your family, empower your family. And that's what the government had in play then. And then some bureaucrats came on along the way like, no, why would we do that? We shouldn't be doing it for them. But I want my dad and my grandparents to, so we'll do it. But why would we Why would the government take care of able-bodied people, young people to be dependent on the government? Why would we do that? Because we're citizens of this country and you're supposed to take care of your own. But instead, all these savings and all this money, you're building up the military and sending aid to other countries. That's what they did with the money instead. You can YouTube it. You can research it. There's a lot of different programs. They've been siphoning off this money from us for years, since taxes started. Because as a government, nobody wanted to pay taxes. You got to remember, income tax wasn't a thing. IRS was not a thing in the early 1900s. They put the checks and balances in place to make sure that when they started taking this money, it was the oversight, it wasn't going to be no abuse. And it's always going to be abuse when it comes to money, especially if you ain't got the right people in place and you re-electing different people all the time. So Bernie Sanders talked about that that was a plan, and they got away from it. So they could expand Medicare to cover everybody. I kind of really wanted to talk about that. But anyway, let's talk about these white South Afrikaners, because they're not called these people right here, these people.
This week, a group of 59 white South Africans arrived in the US, where they've been granted refugee status. President Trump says the refugee applications were expedited because the people concerned were victims of racial discrimination, something South Africa's government denies. The Afrikaners are descended from Dutch settlers who arrived 4 centuries ago to South Africa and who led the government which brought in apartheid, a racially segregated political system which has led to discrimination against black South Africans, and it's no longer in force. Well, usually it takes years for the US government to process refugee applications, but this group waited only 3 months. Well, our North America correspondent Nomia Iqbal has been speaking to one of those who made the journey.
If you're white, you're wrong in South Africa. You're a land thief, you are a racist. The whole time it's being told, and there is racist white people, plenty of them.
You say you're not a racist white person?
No, not at all. I've got many black friends. I think I've got more African black men as friends as white friends. I'm tired of being told, just because I'm white, I'm a thief. Just because I'm white, I'm wrong in this. I had nothing to do with apartheid. Nothing.
Are not called white South Africans. They're called white South Afrikaans. I don't know, but that's how they pronounce it. That's what they say. That's how they pronounce it. Afrikaans. No, Afrikaners. That's what it is. Afrikaners. So these are Dutch people. These white people, they're Dutch. Their ancestors are Dutch, right? Because that's who colonized the Dutch and the French. That's who colonized Southern Africa, because they used to go around South Africa trying to do trade transport to Asia, right? And they would go around Africa, and they would stop there and the natives, and then they started living there and moving, migrating, and trading, and eventually taking over the land. And they said it was a law passed in 1913 that 90%, you can Google this too and look at this. We talking about this, man. A law was passed in 1913, I believe, that year, that 90% of the land was owned and transferred to the white Europeans. 90%. As of today, 50% of the land is still owned by Europeans and white people, and only 1% of them live there. So, and this is the thing. So they're saying that they were being persecuted and reverse racism and this, that, and the third. You've seen the black African president. What's going on is the land, they have laws, and they want to keep it separate. They have a town. It's a town in Africa that's white only now, because during the apartheid, it was like that in Africa. See, it ain't like it was like always cool. It's just like it is here. It's towns here in America that's all white. Y'all know that. Well, we ain't talking about it, but y'all scared to talk about it. You all know it's towns here in America that's all white, don't want no black people in. Even put signs up to tell you, no black people. Still. So what's different in Africa? Because Africa, in the apartheid, they had segregation. Even up until the 70s. It didn't stop until Nelson Mandela made me lock him up and get out to like 2000. What we talking about? Wait, that's the birthplace of everybody. That's Africa. That's black people. They are trying to, and that's what Donald Trump. You got Elon Musk, South African. You got all the people that's running. What is that? PayPal, and that's like the main currency because they use cell phones to transmit money. PayPal's one of the main currencies over there, and that's who runs PayPal. Them South Africans. That's Elon Musk came from that too, and it's a dude over there. It's a president of the country over there. I can't think of the name of the country right now. That's got everybody in uproar. Man, I was thinking I should have put his name up. I'll get that to you on the next show. I'm gonna do a little segment on it. So pull a little video about him. But it's a brother over there in South Africa, right next to Ghana and outside of Libya, where Gaddafi. That's doing some things. He got nervous over there. Anyway, back to what I'm saying. These South Africans, it's like they try to trick us, man. And I got so much information about it. They're trying to trick us. These people came over here saying that somebody was trying to persecute them and take their land, and that's what y'all people did. Now they ain't trying to run you off, but they trying to say you gotta abide and do certain things. It's like if you live in this town and it's incorporated, and they tell you you had to connect to the sewer and pay a sewer fine, you can't be like, nah, I'm gonna put in a septic tank. You can't. You can't put in a septic tank in that city. That's the rules. Now you can move outside the city in the country and have your septic. But if you live within the city limits and they saying, no, you can't have no septic, you gotta hook up to the sewer, that's what you gotta do. That ain't being that's not being racist against you. That's not oppressing you. That's regulations and laws. So if this president is coming up with laws and regulations that everybody got to deal with, you got to deal with it, man. You can't just get in your feelings or do what you did. But don't say that you being oppressed, because what you doing is not the same thing as doing to black people over there. Y'all should look that up. I can talk more about that later on, but y'all know what I'm talking about. We gonna talk about this plane, man. We gonna talk about this plane, this jet. We gonna talk about this jet that Trump got. 47. We gonna talk about this plane that 47 got. So 47 went on this tour over there on this business deal because he's doing a hotel over there in Qatar, one of them countries over there. He's doing another hotel and golf courses or something in another part over there. And then he stopped in another place and received a $400 million jet that he's got to be redone because it was on the market in 2020. They was trying to sell it. They was trying to sell that jet in 2020. And nobody was trying to buy it because it's custom. You'd have to do a whole lot of work to it to make it the way you wanted to do it. You know what I mean? It's like trying to buy Michael Jordan's house with the number 23 on it. Yeah, it's dope. It's Michael Jordan's house, but if you got that kind of money to buy a house like Michael Jordan you probably ain't gonna buy Michael Jordan's house because you can get it custom to you. So that's how it is with this jet. Like if I got $400 million to buy a jet, I'm probably not gonna buy that jet because I had to change it. He got it custom made to him, to whoever the person that owned it. It's custom to them. So why would I want to spend my money on it? So, yeah, that's what I'm saying, though. Why would I do it? So they had to give it away. So they found a sucker. They found a sucker. Come on down over here. We got somebody that love attention. He love attention. He love the news. We can get some headlines and some pictures. Yeah. And then he said he'd keep it afterwards. And we're not supposed to do that in the Constitution. There's articles in the Constitution protect us from not saying you can't do that. And then you elect official. He did it anyway. And then he made it to where he can keep it afterwards. Ain't gonna cause us taxpayers to change all that. All the things that got to be done. Okay, I'll take the $400 million jet. All the things we got to do to make it fit us. The taxpayers will pay for that. So we, me, you, us, gonna pay for all the redone to the jet, and then he get to keep it. And then he get to park it outside his library. You know what I'm saying? And then use it. It ain't gonna be sitting there for people to walk through. It's when he want to use it, he can use it. That's a player move. John Gotti ain't got nothing on 47. See, y'all forget, doing New York and all that stuff was going on in the 80s. the big crime wave and the mafia bosses. 47 was in them clubs, in the Roxy, in the Club 54. He was in them clubs too. Out there with the Don Daughters. Yeah, well, he just wasn't no better real estate investor, right? He ain't had no pool. He wasn't political. He wasn't on TV. He couldn't sing, couldn't dance. Wasn't good looking. He just was a real estate guy, right? So he's trying to use his pool. But he seen them dudes in them flashy suits. Yeah, 47 had seen them. And he wanted to be like them because they had power. He had money. 47 had money, but he didn't have no power. They had the money and the power. John Gotti, the Teflon Don, the nice shiny suits. That's why Diddy liked the shiny suits when him and Mason's doing that. Ben the man, you know what I'm saying? Bad boy. Shiny suits, New York thing. They seen him, Teflon Don, John Gotti, shiny suits, slick back hair, big cars. You know what I mean? Doing his thing. Y'all know what I'm saying, though. Anyway, this is Bro Little Boob. Yeah, hey, don't hold me to it, though. Don't hold me to it. Anyway, I don't know what we're going to do. I'm with y'all. I'm with the people all the time. Y'all rock with me. I'm rocking with y'all. Anyway, stay tuned. Next week, I'll be back. Numbers going up. You see it right there. I love it. Every week the numbers is going up, baby. My movers, my Merle on the movers, keep participating, keep messaging. Tell a friend. Like always, be a good human. Put humans first, baby. Merle on the move. Peace.